bill for? I asked Al Peavy that last month, and he said he didn't know, but that would be a good question to ask.
I thought we've had a couple of occasions where we've done that, where we've looked, I mean, you're looking at what was metered out to the houses, really. That's what we're looking at, is the usage versus what may have been pumped from the main
Process.
Well,
filtration plant.
Whatever's chlorinated, you know,
Yeah.
I'm sure you take on a monthly basis how much you chlorinated, or maybe weekly, or I don't know what a week would be. And you bill, September and April.
Yeah.
If you took the water chlorinated between, say, September and April, and the amount billed, paid for, you determine the amount of leakage.
Yeah, well, again, that's the tough part, is the amount of leakage, and those leaks could be anywhere until they become a major leak.
So
So
that's what I
we
said,
can,
we found out how much gallons were actual leakage, either 1,000 gallons, or tens of thousands of gallons, or 100,000 gallons, or whatever. I understand how on High Street ran from the spring to almost late fall, early winter. Determine how much is being leaked. I mean, if it's a major amount of leakage, probably promptly to start looking for it.
yeah, again, we can work with Rick on that and try to figure out a system that would be more efficient. Again, we'd have to figure that out. I'll talk to Barbara and see what we can do.
Is there a meter on the chlorinator?
There's a meter. Now, the chlorinator just runs because the water's constantly running through that system,
Right.
because there's quite a few users on it.
Right.
So I don't know how you would determine the base flow of the water. Rick, do you have an answer on that? Or?
Well, the chlorinator, when the infiltration gallery is on, the chlorinator runs. When we don't have demand for it, then it's off. So, but we go by the overall amount of water that we use. I was using like 49, 50,000 gallons when we found that leak on 28, and another one. But now, since it's cold weather now, I'm up to 90,000.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a few.
Well, that's leaks.
Found today, but. You know.
That's leaks and people that are just running their water so the line doesn't.
Well,
freeze.
there are some people that run their water too when it's cold, but there's people that have frozen pipes and
Yeah.
they run, you know.
Again, we've had that in Pine Hill where, but they got the electronic meter, so Rick can catch it pretty fast. I'll look into it and I'll see what we can do, you know, when we come up.
What's
Yeah.
the status of the doctors who are interested in the clinic?
Yes, I
Faye had been working on that, and this past weekend she emailed us that it looks like it's getting closer, and we're closer to terms on the contract. She was hopeful that we could probably wrap this up by April, and maybe have them there by May. But we have to get in touch with our attorney now, and see what the terms are that they were requesting back. I did not get a chance to open up that email yet, but she sent it on Saturday or something, Friday. But it's getting closer, coming closer together. Hopefully. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you were talking about the ambulance, the problem that you have. Bel Air, why can't they pay the state run? Why either they get a couple of ambulances up there that the state should get, or the state should pay us a certain amount of money to have, wouldn't that be smart?
We've been
No.
down that road
What are you
before.
shaking your head for?
The state doesn't do that. In all the towns where there's like Bel Air or a prison, if the town has an ambulance service, it has to, by state law, it has to supply and support them
I don't understand.
without any extra charge.
And we do get the revenue from the runs at Bel Air. I mean, so that's.
Right,
our
we just
benefit,
can't
if you will,
charge
but we can't-
extra.
Yeah, because it's order now. And I remember back in 1980, the Olympics, they couldn't use Bel Air because it wasn't ordered. You know, and they were mentioning back then about, and now that it's ordered, I would think, well, what do they do with Whiteface or Gore?
Yeah, same thing, North
Local
Creek Ambulance responds to Gore and Lake Placid.
So that's
Johnson.
a, you know,
What's
that's
that?
a
Johnson.
that's a tough burden on a small small community here.
Well, again, it's,
Even in New
Without-
Paltz with the state university, that town has to cover the campus.
Wow.
yeah, we went down this road before, years ago. Bob Cross was up there arguing with the DEC at the time about getting extra funds, and it just wasn't a thing. I do know, and then there was other discussions that came up with ORDA, because apparently, like, they make a payment to city of Johnsboro, or
Johnsburg EMS and North Green.
because, yeah, but that's due to the Olympic facilities that they run. Doesn't really have to do with the ambulance services, it's to do with the operation of the Olympic facilities, other than the ski centers,
Yeah,
the ice skating rinks and convention centers and so on.
Also, I want to talk about these trees that are laying on the lines. They're all over, especially Old 28. Now, is anybody calling anybody to?
Nicing is out, routinely getting the trees down off, I mean, knock on wood, we haven't had any disturbances in power this year.
I know, but they're.
I know, and they're falling down.
There's some
There's stuff
leaners
going
that
in.
even aren't on lines yet, but you see them, they're leaning so much that,
Well, can't you get them out of there?
We can't, electric company has,
Yeah, well,
so. I mean, I know we've called a couple of times for some stuff, and Nicing has gone right out and done it. A lot of it's on county roads.
Yeah.
County's got to call.
it's unbelievable.
Yes, bro.
Just on this question of trying to find a way to seek additional funding from the state for the ambulance service. I mean, there are three communities that appear to be impacted. There's ours, there's North Creek, and Lake Placid, right?
It's not Lake Placid, it's
Wilmington?
Wilmington.
Okay, but still three in total, right? For the three state facilities, right? So.
Oh, no, that's for the ski center. Lake Placid is impacted with the other Olympic facilities, but the ski center is in Wilmington, it's not in Lake Placid.
Okay, so what I'm saying, that for the three state-owned ski facilities, there are three impacted municipalities,
Four.
right? There are four, even better. So the question that I'm just wondering about is, has anybody ever explored the possibility of trying to do a piece of legislation to bring to our legislature? It's like a perfect kind of regional, you got two parts of the state that are affected here. It's a small number of things, a small dollar bill. I mean, there might be a way to legislate.
Again, I'm gonna tell you, like Pete was explaining, like you're basically going to an entity, regardless of being a state. It would be like me saying, hey, you own a lot of property or a lot of buildings in town, and so you're gonna pay more for the ambulance than anybody else. You're gonna pay an additional cost on top of what your taxes are paid for. The state's gonna look at that and say that's absolutely not fair for us to go to the state, whether it be the ski center, a school, the prison system, and say you're gonna pay an additional fee.
I understand the argument you make, and it's a good argument. The question is though, when you have four municipalities impacted, all of which are ski center host municipalities. It's such a small, discrete, manageable package. It's not going to upset the budget of New York State to have, one of these, small appropriations bills try to work its way into our legislative session. I mean, the whole legislative process with the Democratic takeover of the state Senate has really changed in the last few months here. So there actually might be an ability to propose a modest funding bill that would affect four municipalities in upstate New York towns in support of the state-run ski centers. Just an idea, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we can look into it, but
worth a
again,
question.
you've got ORDA is
I would like to
also,
approach our assemblyman, because we'd like the
Well-
first and most obvious guy to,
again, ORDA is, you have to remember, is an authority. So similar to the MTA. So it'll be like passing legislation stating the MTA, because you have the MTA, you're gonna have to pay more for this service. I don't know,
Well,
we can ask.
it's,
It's a standalone
Services
thing.
available.
They're not run by the state, they're run by their own board. That's appointed by the state. So it's a state authority, state agency, but it's an entity basically unto itself for it. So I don't know how it works that way.
Is
We can-
Margaretville impacted as much as we are?
I don't know. No, they're outside, I mean, they make additional calls if we can't make it to the call.
But, so it's, the burden is on us.
Burden's on us. It's
Absolutely.
within our district.
It's within our primary operating territory, and anything that lies within our primary operating territory, we have to respond to.
Is Margaretville paid ambulance or is it volunteer?
They're paid,
They're paid, hospital workers.
it's a hospital. Any other questions? Chuck?
Has there been any recent reconciliation with regards to the ambulance cost versus profit with regards to billing? I mean.
Well, we've seen the revenue increase with the credit, signing on with the, what is it? They rebill, they go to a collections agency, that's what I'm trying to say. But we still have those outliers that, there's people that, we had a case just 2 months ago or 3 months ago where a gentleman had received the check. It's a two-party check, which he should have been able to cash, but it's a check from the insurance company that he's supposed to pass back to us, and he ended up putting it in his pocket, and we didn't get the money, and then by the time we go make the claim, and they say that they paid out, and then we have to go to this person, and we send them a collection letter, and they just don't respond.
But
And then when you get to the point of it, if you go individually to take somebody to litigation, where maybe sometimes it's a $300 call, $300 bill, it's not worth the cost of litigation.
Are you asking what revenues compared to
I was
costs?
asking if there has been a recent reconciliation of those numbers. I mean. can
Well,
you
every
tell-
year,
Every month you get a report.
every month we get a report, but every year before the budget's done, Rob gets a reconciliation knowing how much it costs and how much it.
What I'm getting at is, if I'm not mistaken, it was a number of years ago where we hired an outside agency to do the billing.
Yes.
Is that proving to be beneficial for us? That's
I
what
mean,
I'm getting at.
yeah, when we went to, so I'll recall that we were doing it in-house, and I think it was costing somewhere in the neighborhood of like $12,000 for the personnel to do that. We went to the one billing agency, which was requiring near 6%, I believe, Pete, that was
Something like that.
It was like
6 or 8.
6%, yeah, that they were taking on the revenue that was collected. This company only takes like 3%, I'm almost certain. But they don't take it until after that revenue is collected, like they cut us a check, and then we have to cut a percentage of that back. Plus, they provide us with the connection to the collection agency, which is a direct line with them. So it's just right straight, when we say send it to collection, they send it right over, it's like from one building to the next door, and it goes into collection. I mean, the problem is that you have insurance companies that kind of play a game, if you will, too, where they don't respond within a certain amount of time. We send a second bill, and then they tell us we're over the filing limit, which means you're past the amount of time available to make the claim. So we're trying to resolve those issues, but for the most part, it's been beneficial. I mean, we only pay a few $1,000s a year for the service, and they completely handle all of it. We get calls once in a while, I'm sure, well, Brendan was getting them before, I'm sure Rich will be getting them, where private citizens are getting the collection letter and they're calling us directly and saying, I want to resolve this with you guys. I'm like, no, you kind of got to do it through the billing service, otherwise it doesn't get rectified properly. So sending us a check isn't going to do any good, because we're just going to send it over to them. So, but yeah, it's worked. I think it's been beneficial for us. Any other questions?
Just real quick,
Sure.
what approximately how much is left in the good neighbor fund these days?
I have to check. I think last I knew it was like 370 or so, it's 308, somewhere in that neighborhood. It has, I mean, we've done like 5,000 here, 5,000
Right,
there,
they've all been
2,000
sold.
there. So, Mr. Harrington, you had a question? No, okay. There's no further questions? I'd like to adjourn the meeting in memory of Ralph Chip Gallagher and Diana Mae Munch. Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Have a good February, folks. Oh, they were working on that. this, 2 years, I'm gonna say, we've been working with DOT. It started from a flood. I didn't get around. We noticed that the bridge went off to the docket for all the they wanted. So we had a number of hands on the phone working,
But I'll get around, I'll bring it tomorrow. What was it about? Oh, perfect.
Several agencies, rather big project.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Far along. Like I said, we're going after this fall. It's gonna be similar to what they did. They're gonna be able to build a new bridge downstream of the existing bridge and keep this open. And then eventually swing the lanes on the new bridge. No, that's two different things. The other thing is that, so we have to go down to these FEMA projects, we don't have that kind of cash in hand to get all things accomplished, and we know FEMA is kind of a slow here. So we had borrowed $2.5 million originally to get the projects going, and quite honestly, yeah, we had jobs that were completed like 2.5, 3 years ago, and just got ready this year. That should be refunded by the end of this year. Like I said, we haven't approved it for we got a letter just the other day, from January, saying we've approved $570,000